Welcome to Theology Thursdays, and today I want to talk about the three phases, so to speak, of salvation. We use three terms for these. They come out of the Bible, and they are justification, sanctification, and glorification. So I want to talk about each of those and then some of the implications of each of those. The word justify means to be declared something, primarily to be declared not guilty. So the Bible says that Abraham believed God and it was accounted to him for righteousness. That's justification. So essentially, here is sort of the way that it works. So we have on the one hand Jesus, on the other hand we have Paul. So let's just say that the tape dispenser represents righteousness. The stapler represents sin. So Paul has sin. Jesus has all of his righteousness, obedience to God. So what happens in justification is they're swapped. Jesus takes my sin and he pays the penalty for it. He dies on the cross. And we'll discuss all that's involved in that on another Thursday. But Jesus dies for my sin, pays the penalty for it. I, on the other hand, now have the righteousness of Jesus. That's what justification is. You see, if I have my sin and it's simply taken away, then I'm just left neutral. I need more than that. I need to be holy. I need to be righteous. I need to be acceptable to God. And so I'm granted the righteousness of Jesus. Meaning that when God sees me, He actually doesn't see me. He sees Jesus in me, His righteousness. And so we go to heaven because we are righteous. Not our own righteousness, but the righteousness that Jesus has given us, His holiness. So that's the idea of justification. Sanctification actually comes from the word holy. That's where we get words like sanctify or sanctuary. A sanctuary is a holy place. To sanctify something is to make it holy. So the idea of sanctification is what we go through in life as we grow more to be like Jesus. It's interesting, the Bible says you must be born again. It talks about a new birth. Well, as you know, babies are not mature. They're babies. And it takes years for them to mature, both physically, emotionally, mentally, and it's the same with Christianity. When someone becomes a Christian, they are a new creation. But over the years, they should grow to be more like Jesus. They should be holier. They should mature spiritually. We know the Bible better. We're better at obeying it. We find that our extremes of anger or depression or frustration, jealousy, greed, all those things, God begins to rein those in, begins to pull those in and helps to give us a better control of those kind of things. And so sanctification is a lifelong process that we go through as we become more like Jesus. The Bible says that we are being shaped or fashioned into the image of His Son, Jesus Christ. So justification, that's when my sins put on Jesus and His righteousness put on me. Sanctification is me growing in the Christian faith, both in what I know and in the way I'll become more obedient to God and practice Christianity better in my daily life. And then the third one is glorification. So what happens is when a person gets saved is they're fixed on the inside. But as you know, our bodies aren't there. That's why our bodies continue to decay and eventually we die. But we will not spend forever in a non-body state, some spirit floating around somewhere. The Bible teaches in 1 Corinthians, with a lengthy discussion of this by the Apostle Paul, that the day is coming when Jesus will return from heaven and our bodies, a new body, not this old body because it would just wear out again, but a new body that's designed to live forever in heaven will come out of the ground. So what happens to that body? It's not just a body. That new body is matched with our new spirit, our new soul, and we will live forever in a physical body in heaven, what the Bible calls the New Jerusalem. And so the idea of glorification is when our body totally catches up. Okay? So I want to say a couple things then about this. We have been justified we are being sanctified, and we will be glorified. So we look forward to that glorification, that great hope, when we brought to pass the saying, O death, where's your sting? O grave, where's your victory? We will have victory over the final enemy of death. So these are the three stages or terms that are used in salvation. So here's kind of an easy way to remember it. Justification saves us from the penalty of sin. I'm saved, it's done. Sanctification is saving me from the power of sin in my life right now. And then glorification will save me from the very presence of sin. There will be no sin in heaven. We'll spend forever there in a sinless, wonderful state. Okay? Now, there's something very important about this, and it's found in the Bible in Romans chapter 8, which is a great chapter, and I'm going to just start in verse 28, and I just want to look at a couple of statements that he makes. We know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, and for those who are called according to His purpose. For those whom He foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son, in order that He may be the firstborn among many brethren. So God's plan for us was to shape us, that we would be conformed to the image of Jesus. That's part of the sanctification process, is being conformed to Him. And then verse 30 says, And those whom He predestined, He also called. Those whom He called, He also justified. Those whom He justified, He also glorified. So we have a string of terms here. Foreknew, it's past tense. It's already done. Predestined, past tense, already done. Justified, past tense, already done. And interestingly enough, glorified, already done. Now we understand that our glorification has not actually occurred yet in time. That's still future when Jesus returns. And yet Romans tells us that we've already been glorified. This is very, very, very significant and very, very important. What it tells us is that our salvation is already done and complete in Jesus. We haven't experienced it yet, but it's already done. Here's why that's so important. Because we have already been glorified, because it's already guaranteed, it is impossible for us to lose this salvation. Jesus swapped out righteousness for sin. He's not going to turn around and swap it back. Once it's done, that's a forever done event. Our justification is done, finished, for good, forever. Once this has happened, we are this way forever. We always have the righteousness of Jesus. And that is assured to us because in Romans 8:30, we're told that our glorification, that hasn't happened yet in time, has already been sealed, signed, and delivered by Jesus Christ. So we have no fear that God is going to take our salvation from us, or that somehow we can lose it. So these are the three phases of salvation. Justification, that's what happens when a person puts their faith in Jesus. Sanctification, that's what happens as we move through life and become more like Jesus. Learn His Word, live His Word, follow Him and obey Him. Fall more in love with Him. And then glorification is the great hope that we have for the future, when we will have a resurrected body, a new body, that will go with our new soul that we have in Jesus, so that we can spend forever with Him, worshiping Him in heaven. So this is really great news, that we have been justified, we're being sanctified, and we're going to be glorified. But we know that our glorification is already guaranteed, that nothing can take this great salvation from us. So I hope that this has been enlightening for you, to help us understand some about salvation, but also it's been uplifting and encouraging to know that my glorification is already guaranteed, that my justification is already done in my life, and right now I'm just moving through the process of sanctification along with you, and that we can't wait for the glorification that's already been guaranteed to actually happen in time when Jesus returns for us. So God bless you. Have a fantastic day, and hope to see you this Sunday.